Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Five Drinks or Midnight, Quarantine Edition. It's our last episode of 2020, and today we have a very special guest. We're talking to Allison Parc, founder and president of Brenne Whisky. But before we do, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Thanks. Allison, thank you so much for joining us. Five Drinks or Midnight, Five Drinks, Midnight, whatever comes first. Thank you so much. How are we doing tonight?
So good. I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
Excellent. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for your time. I guess the first, what are we drinking first?
Well, we have a bit of a lineup tonight. So we're going to start with Brenne Estate Cask.
Excellent.
And I am most excited to enjoy this in the Tua glass, which you so kindly gifted to me.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so good. It's always fun. I'm sure your viewers and your community know this trick, but it's really fun to take the same whiskey and put it in a bunch of different glasses and see how that experience changes for you.
Absolutely. And I'm such a huge, I mean, again, I think the Tua is probably the best glass in the world, but I mean, to each their own. But when somebody has a different glass, I'm always curious to see, like, to get my hands on that glass and see what the flavors come out of that. Because yeah, every time something changes, and like even the big glass right now is like the Turkish coffee glass. Everybody's going crazy for that glass, and I'm very curious to see what it all turns out to be for.
I agree. It's interesting the trends that I've seen over whiskey glassware over the years.
All right, so yeah, again, this is my first time trying Brenne, so I'm very excited.
First ever?
First ever. So.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Okay, this is exciting. So Brenne, right? I know you're in Brooklyn and I'm in Manhattan, but I make this whiskey entirely in France.
Okay.
And entirely in the Cognac region of France. And by entirely, I mean everything, honestly, except the cork. So my whole mission was, can we respect Scottish tradition of making single malt and do so in another place of the world using entirely the ingredients of that local area? And there weren't many people, there weren't really anyone, no one was doing that. You know, this concept of terroir and single malt wasn't a conversation in the early 2000s in the world of whiskey. So I started Brenne with that intent. And it's really cool because it's a farm distillery where I do this. I work out of a cognac house, and because they have the farm for growing the grapes for the cognac, they grow heirloom varietal barley all organically for me. We have access to the local water, which is what we use to proof this and distill. We actually use local yeast, and we use a strain of yeast that this family has used since 1920 to ferment their grapes for their cognac production. We use that for the fermentation of eventually what becomes Brenne. We distill in a cognac still, so not a pot still. And the most significant contribution to the flavor is the oak barrels. So most, as you know, most single malts are aged in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry barrels, like 98% of all single malt that are available. And that's kind of an astonishing number when you think about 60 to 70% of the flavor of a whiskey is going to come from the barrels in which it's aged, right? Like, so a majority of the flavor comes from the barrels, and the majority of the whiskeys of single malts are aged in the same barrels. So when I started to get my head around this, I was like, this is crazy. It's not just about using local barley and local water and local yeast. Like, let's also use local oak. So when you look at the map of France, right, if my hand is France, and Paris, for example, would be like up here in the middle of your middle finger, and you fold France in half and go to the west coast, that's where cognac is. And if you go directly east of where Cognac is, you'll come into the Limousin forest. And the Limousin produces the Limousin French oak, and it's the most expensive species of French oak, and it's exactly what Brenne is aged in. So we only use virgin French oak barrels from the Limousin forest, and barrels that my cognac maker has aged his cognac in, that then our whiskey goes in.
Amazing.
So that's the quick how we make it.
That's fucking amazing. Well, cheers to that, because I have to take a sip. So cheers.
Cheers. No, nosing it is honestly one of my favorite things. It's very cool, and it's cool in this glass too, because you get so much of the cream and the banana on the nose of this.
And then you hit it, and it is like, again, you get that blueberry. Like I'm totally getting the blueberry. So like getting heavy cream and then the blueberry, which is absolutely nuts. So
it's cool.
So damn good.
We did not design the labels to psychologically talk to you about blueberry, but it just happened to work out that way.
No, because again, your flavor profiles that you say where it's banana foster, creme brulee, and blueberry muffin tops, which is
you nailed it.
Exactly what I'm getting. So it's fucking amazing.
Thanks.
Oh, that's so good. I love this.
It's really fun. It's been exciting to create a whiskey that didn't taste like anything else on the market. And if people like these flavors or like the idea of these flavors, you can only get that in Brenne, right? And when people talk about Brenne, they mostly mean the estate cask bottling, which is the first one we're drinking.
Awesome. All right. So then on to question one, which is a little bit of our origin story, which if anybody Googles your name, we find out. But how does one go from professional ballet dancer to president of Brenne?
Oh my goodness, so many missteps. It was not well choreographed, I'll say that. That's funny. That's the first time I've said that. I should use that again. I think like I don't know. Gosh, I don't even know how to answer this. I had an idea and I kept trying to give it away, and I kept asking everyone else if they would do this. And when I received so many no's, I realized, okay, you have to do a little more research here. Are you getting no's because people have tried this and it wasn't successful? Or are you getting no's because you're running into people who might be afraid of change? And in that space, then, if you have the vision and the drive to innovate and disrupt, and I always say in entrepreneurship, it's not enough to, it's not like if you build it, they will come. You have to get the people to it also, right? So if you have the energy to not just innovate and disrupt, but also then promote, I guess, in a massive way, then I think it's kind of your responsibility to act on your dreams and act on your vision and trust your gut. And I happen to do that. And I'm very grateful that it's so far worked out.
Again, first time, and I'm a fan, so this is amazing. So I think you got something special here. So it definitely is. It was kind of funny because again, all the articles have listed for you is like when we Google doing our social stalking for the questions, it was Allison Parc from bar to bar, and I was like, what, is she just so sick of doing grand jetés all day? And she was like, fuck it, we're going to the pub and I'm drinking scotch. Like that's like
kind of, yeah. I will say my fuck it moment was when I like threw out my point shoot. I didn't really throw them in the trash, but like, threw them away from my body. I was like, and I went and got a burger. But in hindsight, the scotch would have been a blessed add-on to that burger meal.
Because it was like a few articles. It was like she started doing indulge and everything that was taboo against the dance world, and I was like, that's so like, okay, cool, but also, I'm sure you had a drink or two before you, like, as a dancer.
Yeah, a little bit, but not much.
Yeah,
it's a very restrictive life. So I didn't indulge much. I didn't really know what I was talking about or drinking, or I wasn't really paying attention to it. And but yeah, afterwards, I definitely got into it.
Amazing. Well, That's question one. Super easy. Not even midnight yet, and we're just flying through. So, all right. So, on to question two. What are we drinking?
So, Brenne 10, this is our 2008 vintage. So, this was distilled in 2008, bottled in 2018, kept in bond until 2020, and we just released it via only on our website, buybrenne.com, during the pandemic. So, kind of a cool story on this one.
That's cool. Oh, nice.
And we've only had this available for sale starting October 1st. So it's only really been available for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of crazy. Especially, in my mind, because I'm like, oh, I've been like living with this whiskey for a very long time. And you can now just get it.
Well, I mean, isn't that always the great thing about whiskey is it's not a quick game. So it definitely, like, you need to have some patience. Like, I would be terrible at it because like everybody, I'd just be like, yes, this is great. And they'd be like, no, this got to sit for a few more years. I'd be like, no, release it now. Like, yeah, I'd be a terrible Cooper, barman, whatever.
It's hard. It is hard. Especially because to me, all the barrels, they almost feel like children at some point in their journey. And it's like, oh, I just want to birth you and put you out into the world.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, first, cheers. And I was bad because I took a sip before I even, but oh, wow. That is completely different.
Mm-hmm. So I love this whiskey. Ooh, I love this whiskey. So this is our 4th bottling of Brenne 10. And my idea with this was to create vintages. So instead of just being able to have access to Brenne 10, you should have access to Brenne 10 and also be a little bit aware of what vintage you're drinking. Because I do not want it to taste the same from one year to the next, to the next, to the next. And I think there's a really fun discovery involved in that. This is for barrels that age a little bit differently than the barrels that are more leaning towards the estate cask profile during their kind of maturation journey. I pull them aside. They're very special to me. There's only ever 7 barrels a year that get up to that 10-year mark. And we'll take 4 of them to make that year's vintage. So it's a 4-barrel blend, incredibly small, less than 300 cases for the world. So far, we've only ever bottled this for the US. So to me, it's like my quiet whiskey. It's my fireside whiskey. If a estate cask is like fun pool party, everyone's welcome to the party. Even if you think you don't drink whiskey, you can probably drink Brenne. It's like, it's easy. This is a moment. This is a magical little.
No, this is fucking gorgeous. This is really, honestly, I mean, the estate was wonderful. Like that, but this is just, there's something, I mean, not saying it because you're on the show. It's literally, there is something really special about this. This actually has, not actually, but it does. It has a really beautiful nose, and the finish is just gorgeous.
Thanks. We just won a very cool category winner award with this vintage. And I don't know, I just had some World Whiskey Awards mailed to me too. So we've done very well with these two, strangely during the pandemic year in the awards shows. But I'm grateful. I think the world is opening up to what I produce. And I think their minds and their palates are increasingly getting more curious. And I think that'll bode well for us in the future.
And absolutely. It's just so good. That is, it's got the, and it's not burny, but it's got the burn, the tingle. It's got the tingle that this is just, I mean, this is really, like you said, this is the party whiskey. And this is I'm sitting by a fire and we're watching it snow.
Totally.
Oh.
Totally. Yeah. So estate cask, for those that are watching, is 40% ABV, and our Brenne 10 is 48% ABV. So in proof points, that is 80 proof for the estate cask and 96 proof for the Brenne 10. So
very nice. All right. So on to question 2.
All right. Yeah.
I was told that the Brenne motto is create, not copy. Yeah. How does that apply to Brenne? And then also, how does that apply to you in everyday life?
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Also, very original question. I've not been asked that before in an interview. I'm impressed with you so far.
Excellent.
And I've been selling and like, the face of Brenne for 8 years. So that's impressive to get a question that I haven't been asked yet. So create, not copy, to me is extremely important in everything we do, because I didn't want to come out with something that already exists, but in new packaging, right? And we see a lot of that. And I think, I just don't think that really gives the consumer journey the best experience. I think it's really exciting if people take the plunge to try something called French single malt whiskey. I want to make sure that they're getting something that doesn't already exist in their home. And I also don't see any benefit to copying, right? It's already been done. So like let that person do it and take inspiration, sure, and build from that, absolutely. But I think there's an entire world of people who can continuously come into whiskey and, in particular. So I just think let's just keep creating and trying to make things that can bring more people into our category, versus try and take market share from someone else who's already here. I just play a different way. So I always want to be respectful to the vision of Brenne, to that concept of terroir. People have always said, oh, are you going to do a sherried whiskey? Are you going to do a peated whiskey? And I say, I get why you're asking me that. And I'm also curious as to what Brenne might taste like in a peated form, right? Or in a sherry barrel, but they're not indigenous to Cognac, France. So it won't be done with this whiskey. And so really staying true to our values and our promise, I think is very important. So does that kind of answer it a little bit?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then personally, I mean, it makes me smile, right? I think create, not copy. It's like, oh, I don't know. It's almost like a permission slip to be creative. We don't need that as humans. I think, there's a whole conversation to be had, especially at a bar with whiskey, like right now, around creativity. And we as humans, right, we're very attached to our technology and our phones and all these things. And then we hear, and you can read these studies, that it's like super important to have an artistic outlet or something. And then people have been told, we think, oh, we're not artistic, right? Well, you don't have to like pull out watercolors and be able to paint like Monet. It's just give yourself that tech break and do something creative. Yeah. And I feel like create, not copy is almost my daily permission slip to just go do something that's creative. And be creative in business, be creative in your personal life, like be creative when you think about how you want to have a date night over COVID. Like there's like a lot of areas that you could just create something.
Yeah, I mean, just try to create something, and who cares if you fail or whatever, and like just go out and do something. So yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to. No one has like an expectation of masterfully make it. I don't know. Like there's no mastery here, right? Just do it because it's fun and it's exciting, and you're like laugh at yourself, fall on your face a few times, be like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not a salsa dancer.
That didn't work.
So, I think it's a good motto.
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, when I found out, like, I love a good motto, and like, I think that, people that can live by that, and again, how it applies there's always some sort of like deeper meaning behind it. So, and I think you answered that perfectly. So it's great. So cheers to that.
Cheers. Thank you.
Right.
I love this. I have, and I recommend if people ever are doing a whiskey tasting, I'll often try to have as many glasses as the number of whiskeys that I'm going to taste, because I find it really fun to go back and revisit. And that's how my palate always learns, it learns by comparative analysis. So this is cool. And I appreciate you giving me 2 of these glasses, because that's also the most important, right? Put them in the same glass, in multiple glasses. Yep. So you can compare.
And again, you can never have just one glass. So like 2 is meant to be in a pair. So it's.
Agreed.
And I have mine decanting, right? So I can't wait to come back. So like I have them nice on the side right now, so it should be like, I'm really excited to come back to them. So on to question 3, drink 3. What are we drinking?
This is fun. This is one of my favorite cocktails. It's called the Boulevardier. It's kind of like the boulevard, right? Boulevardier in French. And it's a very, very simple cocktail. And it's for anyone who loves a Negroni, right? A Negroni is equal parts gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth. And this is basically the same thing, but swap whiskey in place of the gin. Very easy to make.
Excellent.
So if you're like me, you get your expandable bar spoon.
Love it.
Take the camera down so you can see my little workstation here. Now, again, very easy to make. Hello. So excuse the hands, they are clean. I got a little bar towel here. And because, this is 5 drinks or midnight, I'm going to use the small side of the jigger. But basically, you want to just do equal parts. And I love this cocktail with Brenne Estate cask. So a little Brenne Estate cask. I have the Trincheri sweet vermouth, but really anything that you love will be delicious. I often hear, it's just equal portions. I often hear people go, oh my gosh, it's too good to put in a cocktail. And I always tell people, if you've ever made a salad with lettuce that you've bought that's like been imported from a faraway place, or you've made a salad with lettuce you've bought from the local farmer's market, how much better is that salad when you use high quality ingredients, right? So I think of my cocktails as the same idea. The higher the quality of ingredients. Oh my goodness, my Campari is stuck. Oh, there we go. All right, that got stuck. I have very little left. You can see how much I love this cocktail. But I did 1 ounce of Brenne and the sweet vermouth so far. Here is 1 ounce of Campari. And I'm gonna give this a nice stir. You want this to kind of come to a chill. Left-handed people, or at least this left-handed person, is not great at this part. All right, that's gonna be good enough. And then I like to serve this cocktail on the rocks. So I'm gonna take one of my big ice cubes, put it into my glass, and put my little strainer here, hold back the ice, pour this over a fresh piece of ice, and I'm gonna give this the garnish of an orange peel. So you don't want the orange fruit, right? You just want to cut through to the white part, to the rind. And you want to, when you put this in your drink, I like to hold the pith towards my face and keep the skin outside facing the glass. And essentially what you're going to want to do is squeeze it together over the drink. And when you do that, all the essential oils of your citrus fruit live in the outside of the skin. So by pinching it, you basically open those cell walls and you'll get the oils to spray out. And then I like to do a little wipe on the mouth, on the rim, put my little peel in there, and there is a Boulevardier.
Excellent. Well, cheers.
You were very fast. Cheers. Oh, I love this drink. I think it's helpful to see how people make these cocktails.
Oh, absolutely. Again, you're the first person that actually has done a cocktail demo, which is amazing. So
cool.
This is a whole night of first. So woohoo!
Yay!
Excellent. Well, cheers again.
Cheers. Thank you. Speaking of first, I think we're on the third.
Yes, we are on the third. Okay, question 3. If Brenne didn't exist, what would your go-to drink be?
Ooh, wow. Oh, okay. Kind of easy. If Brenne did not exist, it would be a wide variety of single malts neat is choice number 1. Rye's neat, choice number 2. And rye Manhattans, choice number 3. I did not get into Boulevardiers. I didn't know about Boulevardiers until I started Brenne, and I adore this drink with Brenne. I've had it with rye; it's also good. But I like this cocktail with
Okay.
Brenne, but yeah.
And then who turned you on to the cocktail? Is there a place that
Yes. Where was I? I don't know if this is the first one, but this is the first one I remember. I was with Kyle McHugh, who now I'm blessed to say works with us, but he was formerly a master of whiskey at Diageo. And we were in San Francisco getting ready for Whiskey Fest SF. And we had flown into San Francisco, landed, we met up with our local team. Jacob Holland was there, and I can't remember who else was there. And we got, like literally with my luggage from the airport, and we rushed to this amazing little tiny restaurant that like smokes their own meat. And it was just, we knew we were gonna have a really heavy lunch because we were going into this 6-hour, Whiskey Fest. And you really kind of need, to me, I like to eat, it's kind of counterintuitive, but I like to eat a heavy meal before I go into Whiskey Fest. A, I just need the stamina, and B, I'm always going to be sipping new whiskeys around me, so I need to have a good base. So we were like ordering these massive, meat meals, and they asked us what to drink, and I just kind of looked at the guys, and I was like, I mean, we got to start, but I need something to cut into the heaviness of the meal. And Kyle said, I'm going to have a Boulevardier with Brenne. That's the most brilliant idea. So that was the first time I remember trying it. And I've been hooked ever since. I drink them like, actually, we're filming this on a Friday. I like to start my weekends often with a Boulevardier.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. It was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's a great answer. And again, it wasn't part of the actual 5 questions, but yeah, and then 2, just off of with the whole whiskey with no E and also doing the single malts, is that why you went no E on the whiskey, or is it like just because you like to spell things wrong as an Irish?
I was really into Twitter back then, and I was like, one extra character, I don't have the space. The Japanese whiskey, they'd started in 1945. The Swedish distillery Macmira had started in 1999. Around the time that I was starting my exploration, Amrut Distillery in India, they had been making a lot of rums. They actually still make rum, and they were starting to make and talk about the whiskeys that they were aging. And there was also some distilleries in Tasmania. And what I was seeing was, here was this small but mighty band of international distilleries, and none of them spelled whiskey with an E. So I thought, if we're really gonna, there was a couple distilleries in France making whiskey. They also did not spell it with an E. And I just thought that would be a really weird thing to start spelling it with an E. So I'll respect my brothers and sisters who are my older siblings in this game, in this world whiskey shindig.
Amazing. Yeah. No. Again, that was just a silly question, but yeah, because it was. I've been told that if the country doesn't have an E in the name, it doesn't have E in the whiskey. So like that was always like, again, not that it matters, but
that works with France, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's an E in France. I reversed the rule in my head. Yeah. No, I think it's more Ireland, Irish whiskeys from Ireland, Irish whiskey, and in the U.S. they predominantly use the E, and then everyone else does not. So,
nope.
I figure.
Just a silly question.
Yeah, I like it. And like you said, the whole point of this show is as if we're sitting at a bar having and that a conversation logically goes off on a few fun tangents.
Yeah, of course. So. On to question 4.
Yes.
What are we drinking?
A Brenne Hatton.
Excellent.
I'm going to tip the camera. Are we ready?
Yep, we're ready.
All right, we're ready. All right. Also very similar, just like the Boulevardier, how similar that was to make, right? Which was equal parts Campari, sweet vermouth, and Brenne. In the Manhattan, it's also similar, but don't think equal parts. I do a 3-2-1 as my reminder. 3 dashes of bitters, 2 ounces of whiskey, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. So because we're 5 drinks in or 4 drinks in so far, I'm gonna half my things except my bitters. But here we go, on to the cocktail board. I've got a beaker with ice. I'm actually gonna add another piece of ice to this. I like this cocktail. Actually, I'm not gonna half it. We're gonna go all the way. So bitters, this is just the basic Angostura bitters, but in our house, we go through a lot of it, so we buy it in bulk and then throw it in these fun little bitter containers. 3 dashes of that. We said 2 ounces of Brenne, so I'm gonna use the big side of my Cocktail Kingdom jigger here. All the way to the top, please. I stay to myself. And then 1 ounce, right? So we did the 3, we did the 2. Here's the 1. We're gonna do 1 ounce of that sweet vermouth. I'm gonna use the same one that I was using for the Boulevardier. And there we go. Now, just same as last time, we're gonna give this a nice stir. We wanna chill everything. And I really like my Manhattans or Brenhattans served up. If I was doing this not on air, I would spin that a little bit longer, and I'm gonna give it a cherry. I find these things extremely helpful. You can get them at Japanese stores, right? Just like kitchen tweezers is what I call them. Proper name. Give a little stir, got my garnish in the glass, and you can see my glass on this camera, and then I'm just gonna pour right on top.
Very nice.
And I love this with before a meal, during a meal, and after a meal. I love this cocktail.
Excellent. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I mean, isn't that heaven?
That is amazing. So on to question 4. Not looking for a scoop, but what's next for Brenne? I mean, you guys just came out with this bottle, and it's fucking amazing.
Thanks.
What's next? Like, again, because a little bit you talked about, like, we're not going to do a peat. We want to stay true to our roots. We want to stay true to France, like in Cognac. But what's next? Like, I mean, other than world domination, because I'm sure it's really hard to be riding a city bike all over the world to deliver Brenne. So.
You know, COVID has been an amazing experience because we have expanded into India, Israel, Dubai, I think Germany. Like, we've added countries this year, which you can tell by my face. I'm baffled by.
Fucking amazing. So
yeah, it's incredible.
Cheers. Like, I mean, look, you deserve it. I mean, all that success, like, it totally is well deserved. I mean, this is for price again, like, even price point, like, you guys are just
price point so good,
way undervalued, honestly. Like,
don't I know it? No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But like, on that, I think it's important to note, right? The bourbons that we love and drink, and I have in excess. Well, not compared to a lot of our friends, but I have a decent bourbon collection. You know, to be a distiller, right, and buy an American whiskey barrel, my COGS, my cost of goods sold, is I can start at about $200 to $300 for that new American oak barrel, right? And we see a lot of good bourbons on the shelf that I think are in the same caliber as Brenne Estate Cask in terms of quality, right? At that $60 to $80 price point. And Brenne, right, which lives in both new French Limousin oak and also XO cognac barrels, though our virgin barrels, right, virgin American oak can cost about $200-300 a barrel. Ours start at 1,200 to 1,600 euros, right? And like, just to put that side by side, and we are still able to get this out the door to consumers at a $59.99 price point, I think is miraculous. It also means Mama's not buying Gucci with her brand money. That's okay. That's why we do public speaking, folks. But you know, it's good. I think it's very good.
And like, I mean, for you guys, you're coming in at what, like $40 and $60?
$59.99. So 60 for the estate, and then 100 to 120 on the 10.
Perfect. Like, I mean,
Thanks.
well deserved. I mean, this is a steal. Like anybody, like that. This is a steal for that.
I think so.
And I mean, this is really great too. But this is fucking.
I know this is a steal. This is
but,
like crazy. We ready for the? Okay.
Right. So on to question 5. Question 5. Flip of the coin question. Yes or no. Coin gives us the answer. You don't get in trouble. It's all about the coin question. So first of all, what are we drinking?
Ooh, well, we're not going to drink as much as we're going to eat. So when we were setting this up, I got very excited. I've never done this on an interview, but we are going to do a Brenne affogato. And an affogato is an Italian dessert where usually you have a scoop of ice cream and they pour espresso on top. We're going to pour Brenne, the whiskey of your choosing. And I know you've got your ice cream ready. You're the best. So what flavor did you go with, Tim?
I went with so vanilla bean, and I'm going to go with the Brenne Estate cask.
I'm shocked you're not doing the 10.
I have to hide it because it's so damn good. I have to keep that, like, that's got its, like, this is going with all the other special ones. So, like, it's so good. Like, I have to hide this from myself now. That's how, there's a lot of whiskeys behind here that are hidden way in the back that are now for special occasions.
Don't worry. We kept it in bond for 2 years. So our entire 300 cases are currently available for purchase by Brenne.com. Okay, I decided, since I've done this before, I thought I would change it up. And what's weird is we both went with the same brand of ice cream and we didn't coordinate that.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
But I'm going to do a bourbon vanilla apple crisp ice cream. And not only that, they used Kings County bourbon, which is a friend of mine, and in your backyard, I think, basically. All right, those watching at home, scoop your ice cream.
There we go.
Pour your Brenne. In fact, I'm going to, yep, there's my estate. I'm going to pour it right on top. Oh, my dog almost came running.
Oh.
This is my favorite thing.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is delicious fun.
This is amazing. All right.
It's good.
So, question 5, flip of the coin, yes or no. Is it true that you had to demote Ernie to intern because his head got too big and people thought he was the owner?
Fuck no.
All right, so Ernie's just a plain old intern.
Do we have more of these? Can we keep flipping?
I only got the one question, but yeah.
I'm not a very good catch. Ernie's better at catching. He's right here. Come here. He heard his name, and he liked the ice cream.
So cute.
The boys, you like the Brenne? He's a Brenne fan. Oh my goodness. No, I think there's no better pairing than the company of dogs and a glass of whiskey.
Agreed.
Oh, it's like perfect. Also, this is perfect. I would like, if people are watching this and they're trying this, I would like them to list in the comments their ice cream and whiskey pairings.
Agreed.
Ideally with Brenne, but I'd like to know what any whiskey that you're pairing with any flavor of ice cream. And I think that could be a really, we should make that a live experience one day. Like we should partner with Van Leeuwen, and we should do like a whole whiskey ice cream pairing.
I'm down. I mean, you don't need me, but you can totally do it. So I mean,
I would like you. I don't need to do things solo. I like partners. Yeah. This is good. Considering I didn't have breakfast yet, and it's 6 p.m. almost, I like starting with boozy ice cream.
I mean, who doesn't? I mean, this is the perfect, like, adult 5-year-old fucking dinner.
Yeah. It's like adult cereal or something.
Yeah. Being like, all right, what are you having for dinner on a Friday? Boozy ice cream?
Why not? Mm-hmm.
People are gonna be like, "What are you?"
Parent.
And be like,
Well, that was delicious.
"All right." Again, Allison, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again. I appreciate your time. Stay safe, stay healthy, because we got some drinking to do once this shit is over. So thank you again. I really appreciate your time. So thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Love your community. Love your passion.